This episode is brought to you by the Toyota Grand Highlander. Life's journey brings constant change filled with exciting surprises and grand challenges. And with its spaciousness, power, and style, the Toyota Grand Highlander is more than a vehicle. It's your partner in embracing all life throws at you. From the spacious adult-sized third row to seating for up to 8 passengers, the Toyota Grand Highlander is up for every grand challenge. Learn more at toyota.com/Grand Highlander. Toyota, let's go places.
This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest, with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/Spotify.
Nigel here. Did you know the wise time to relieve allergies is at night? With Xyzal. And who better to explain than a wise owl like me?
Your allergies won't take a hint when you're tired and ready for bed. Don't suffer the symptoms that bother your sleep. Take Xyzal 24-hour instead. It starts working fast and works while you sleep, so you finally get much-needed rest. Then all the next day, it's still going strong, so you can feel your best.
Be wise, all. Take Xyzal at night. Use as directed. Starts working in 45 minutes.
Movie night. We are back with another episode this week talking about a film that is celebrating 45 years.
Oh, God.
He Knows You're Alone from 1980. This movie was pitched, written, shot, and released all within 4 months. And
wow.
Kind of shows.
He knows you're alone now. There definitely is not anyone around.
But here's what I remember. I'm going to go through real quickly. This was a Matt pick.
We know Matt.
Memory,
we know exactly why. Wait. Can you tell me a yes or no before you tell me your story? I just need to know. Did you pick this because there's a dark ride?
No, I forgot that there was a dark ride in it, but I did make a special note. You know, I'm loving this dark ride.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding.
So my memory was this. First things first, the documentary Going to Pieces, The Rise and Fall of the Slasher Movie comes out. I obsess over that documentary, and I make it a goal to watch every single film that's mentioned or has a poster shown in that documentary. And I succeed in that goal. He Knows You're Alone was one of the last ones I got, and this was when I was working at a video store and we were selling a VHS of it. So I grabbed the VHS from the sale shelf and I took it home and I watched it and thought, well, that sucked. And I just kind of held on to it and never really thought about it again. Flash forward to decades later and it comes out on Blu-ray at Scream Factory. They're doing some sale. And it's basically like buy 3, get a 4th one free. Can't find a 4th one that I necessarily want. So I'm like, fuck it. I'll buy He Knows You're Alone. It's free. I watch the Blu-ray and go, oh, this isn't bad. I will throw this on the horror movie night list. And it sits there for 10 years.
Holy shit.
But then we come to the year of anniversaries. And I'm like, well, now I got to find out what year every movie that's on my long list came out to find out if any of these are anniversaries, because maybe it'll bump it up to a position where I can just be like, all right, let's just watch it because it's an anniversary. And we get to this spot where we are right now with He Knows You're Alone. I'm watching it last night, extremely tired. I was beyond exhausted when I put this on.
Well, this helped.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that there's a lot to analyze with this because I do think we're going to talk about a couple of these movies coming up, but like 1980 is really the year that people start making movies because Halloween was a hit, right? Like, even though Halloween came out in 78, you weren't getting a lot of those movies in 78 or in 79, but like 1980, you have this influx of, I think there's like 5 or 6 slasher movies that all come out in 1980. I think that He Knows You're Alone is the one that plays it closest to the Halloween side of things. And I think that because A, we like recreate shots from Halloween in some of these things where it's like tracking shot of girl walking down the street and there's like mysterious person. There's looking out the window and seeing the person standing, staring at you. Like, there's a lot of those shots recreated. It also does this interesting thing where when you watch Halloween, there's never a doubt in your mind that Michael Myers is the person that's doing the killing. There's no mystery to this. You know what I mean? But like, when we get to a Prom Night or a Friday the 13th or a lot of the other 1980 films, there's a little bit of a murder mystery thing happening where it's like, who could be the killer? Who knows? So I do think that this is an interesting relic of like the biggest let's do Halloween again of all of those movies. And there are moments that I think are really interesting and cool. I think that the opening of this movie, which is how they sold this movie, was they originally were doing an adaptation of the urban legend that you see at the beginning of the movie. And apparently in the middle of doing this pitch, he could tell that the person that he was pitching to didn't like it. And just very quickly was like, and we zoom out and it's a movie and we're watching the audience watching. And that's like when he saw the person like kind of perk up and he's like, okay, this is what
was like, oh, you know?
Yeah. But I do love, I mean, I hope I'm not stealing anyone's double feature, but like Scream 2 very clearly is inspired by the opening
that makes
of
sense.
This movie. Like doing the like movie theater kill, the kill in the middle of the theater, no one knows what's happening. And then I even love the choice of the title, He Knows You're Alone, showing up at just this shot of these wide eyes staring, which apparently the director said he cast this guy strictly for the eyes.
That's my dad's cousin Dennis, and it's really crazy to look at. It's not actually my dad's cousin, but he looks. No, I'm sorry. He looks exactly like. Well, I would say I haven't seen my dad's cousin in a really long time, but like at 7 years old, that's what I thought. Like a guy, he just looks like a guy. He's just a guy with crazy eyes, and this dude was always at the racetrack. This Dennis, and I was just like, who? I didn't understand. Anyway, that's exactly who he looks like. Just a very creepy white guy. That we know from the jump is the killer. Just and like we know every creepy white guy is a killer behind those eyes.
And this movie would mostly have probably been forgotten had it not been for the casting of one of the characters being played by Tom Hanks in his first ever film role. And there's a rumor, and I'm inclined to believe this rumor, but there is a rumor that Tom Hanks' character was literally introduced to be someone for Ray to kill. But while making the movie, everyone just liked Tom Hanks so much that they decided not to kill the character and just like kind of write him off from like the scene that would have led up to his death, because they're just like, he's just so charismatic and nice. Like they felt bad killing Hanks.
Anything can happen in 4 months of production. You can make it. You can choose. You can do anything you want.
Well, and it's like I'm inclined to
Tom
believe
Hanks. Fine.
And I'm inclined to believe that because he is the definition of a body count character. You know what I mean? Like he's a character that's introduced 45 minutes into the movie, suddenly takes an interest in one of the main characters and is implied to about to have sex with that person. Like
he's got a kerchief, right?
Yeah,
like he's got a little. Yeah, come on. That is like you are going to die with that. That's supposed to cover up an effect later, and it doesn't happen. Like that's the only reason he's wearing that.
It's so crazy, but we'll do here. I'll do my.
Why don't you give us a little bit of
walk us through it?
Oh!
I just wanted to propose a toast to the actor with the most. And also reveal my drink, which is just a glass of white wine, just
very
like
nice choice.
Our very chill joint smoking, music listening character in that scene that happens for 5 minutes.
Nancy. I don't know why I thought she was an Adrian, but I have.
Which I loved that scene. I loved how long we just sat and listened.
Oh yeah. I have Who Cooks for You by Jackie O's, because I think that if everybody's wives are killed in 1980 or their fiancés, no one can cook for the idiot men.
No.
All right, so let's talk about this movie, right? The film begins in a movie theater where a young woman is murdered by Ray Carlton. In a flashback, we see that he had murdered previously at the wedding of a young bride who had once rejected him and was planning to marry a detective named Len Gamble. Len is brought in to try to capture Ray before he can murder again, as well as get revenge for the death of his fiancée. Ray witnesses a new bride named Amy Jensen, who he plans to stalk. Her fiancé Phil and his friends leave for a bachelor party while her and her friends Nancy and Joyce attend a ballet class. Joyce is revealed to be so random that they just have this ballet scene. Joyce is revealed to be having an affair with their girl's philosophy professor. And as Amy goes out and does some errands, she notices that Ray seems to be following her, and she bumps into her ex-boyfriend Marvin, who works at the local morgue. And he seems to know her. He seems to know her schedule for the day. He seems to know her schedule for the day and has frustration towards Phil for taking Amy away from him.
Just these are all white. These are all white people. Just in case anybody had not known this movie.
This wasn't clear.
Whitest
This
cast.
is so
Holy shit.
Let's be very clear.
I had an idea while watching this movie of like, okay, if I was to let's say we get hired to remake He Knows You're Alone.
This is so unbelievable already.
No one would be enraged by this. This seems like a perfect to be original.
Okay.
I say you do everything up until this point correctly, right? Like the same way. Mm-hmm. But the twist of the movie being that sometimes we see Ray killing people and other times we don't. And that after the capture of Ray at the end of the movie, it's revealed that someone, whether it be Marvin or Phil or somebody else, was taking advantage of Ray killing people to exact his revenge on Amy and her friends simultaneously. That like you can have like the killer and also like the copycat killer trying to frame the kill. Like I feel like there's an interesting thing that you could have done
I see
there.
what you're doing. Also, Scream 2, it kind of dovetails really well with what Scream 2 is doing. Yeah, so yeah, I mean,
but
I honestly
because
don't
sometimes
see
we physically see Ray doing it, and other times it's like an off-camera kill. So it's like, ooh, there could have been a potential for like a little cutesy surprise reveal, but we never get that. Just spoiler alert.
Yeah, for a 45-year-old
it would work
movie.
because
Yeah.
Amy is the one who is cheating on the professor.
Joyce.
Amy?
With Joyce.
Joyce, with
Joyce,
the
excuse me.
yes.
Joyce is cheating with the professor. You know, there is some unlikability, but that also that infidelity is kind of cute until the professor is like, we've been running around this house for an hour. I haven't busted a nut yet. And it's like, jeez.
We're getting there. We're almost there.
Sorry, yes, I jumped the gun.
So is he.
So after bumping into Marvin, Amy goes to get her final fitting at the dress store, and the dressmaker is attacked and stabbed to death by Ray with a pair of scissors. Great scene.
But the thing is that it doesn't make any sense to kill that guy.
No.
Like he's the only person that I think that gets murdered in this that isn't like a young woman, right?
Yeah.
Am I missing
He's just
somebody?
tied to weddings.
Yeah.
He's tied to weddings, baby.
He should be the person that gets killed first. You know, like it should be like, you know, okay, so just for people that don't understand, Ray is killing only people that are getting married or
young brides.
Will be in the wedding party. Which is like such an oddly specific thing to do.
It's
also, how would he know that much? I was sort of like
he's
under
very
the impression,
attentive.
like, how do you know? Yeah.
He
a wedding
knows
planner.
you're alone, and he also knows that your friends are in the wedding party.
I should have, and I did not. But apparently there was a book that came out called American Horrors, Essays on the Modern American Horror Film, written by Robin Wood, who is a film critic. And in that book, she actually gave a lot of praise to He Knows You're Alone and said that it was a sophisticated attempt to be an analysis of violence against women in the terms of male possessiveness and the fear of the female anatomy. Now, that also could be a lot of grasping for straws retroactively, but
I read that
I do see
too,
what
and I
she's
agree.
saying with that. I see the lens in which she's describing that. This movie was definitely trashed early on, but even someone else called out, and I do think that this is kind of cool, is film scholar John Kenneth Mueller noted in his book Horror Films from the 80s that like other slasher films in the period, He Knows You're Alone is structured around an organized principle, this time being a wedding. But in this instance, the film follows the format in which the narrative occurs during either a holiday or an important date. But unlike the other slasher films like Friday the 13th that are kind of trapped at a singular location like a summer camp, He Knows You're Alone takes advantage of that to hit as many wedding-specific locations as possible. Thus, the dress shopping, a church, the bride's home. Like, it's able to, like...
But it doesn't, like, scream wedding.
No,
I feel like you
never.
could have leaned into that
Never.
a lot
Well,
more.
Well, if they had more than 4 months to get
this.
this thing churned out, then maybe they...
That's too. They also hated the title of this. The script was called Bloody Wedding, and the studio changed the name to He Knows You're Alone.
Honestly,
which
they're
the
both
There's
filmmaker
only
was
one
like,
person that gets...
yeah, both are bad names. But he's like, He Knows You're Alone is a tagline to a movie. That's not the name of a movie. Like in his mind, it'd be like Bloody Wedding. He knows you're alone. Like
But that's even...
I would do
oh my
like
God.
Bloody Wedding.
Jesus Christ.
He knows you're +1, or he knows you're -1. He knows you're -1.
-1.
Oh my God, guys, we're doing the Tubi original or the Tubi not Tubi
All
original,
right.
but the Tubi remake. Fuck.
Anyway, so Amy comes home from the murdered dress shop store to find a surprise bachelorette party thrown together by her friends. Now, Joyce, being the good friend that she is, bounces this party early so she can go fuck her philosopher professor. But her and the philosophy professor named Carl are both killed by Ray. Meanwhile, Nancy tells Amy all about this cute jogger that she has a crush on, and also kind of implies that maybe Amy should call off the wedding and get back with Marvin. This is only further pushed forward when the next morning Marvin shows up and expresses his desire to restart their relationship, while Amy expresses some doubts that she has towards Phil. Nancy finally asks that hot jogger, known as Tom Hanks, if he would like to join them for a trip to the amusement park. Obviously, favorite part of the movie, they go on a dark ride at one point in this. I did read a funny quote from Tom Hanks where he was talking about the movie, and he was like, the most unrealistic part of this entire movie is how much fun people are having at a carnival where it's clear that we're freezing our balls off.
Oh my God,
outside.
it's so cold. So freaking cold there. I do, you know what? Of all the outfits, though, I mean, I would be remiss not to say I loved Amy's. I think it was Amy who was wearing that cute little crop jacket. I was like, that shit is so cute.
80s was a good time for girls in crop jackets, and those things need to come back. I like the look of a crop jacket.
Yeah, this is quite possibly the weirdest fashion discussion we've had on the show, and that's saying a lot.
Well, it's three straight white men who don't have that much of an opinion on fashion.
But we know about
Did you
crop
say
jackets.
Nancy is killed by Ray later that night while Amy is driving her sister to a birthday party. Love this scene. Amy comes home and finds Nancy's head in the fish tank. It's a beautiful...
And she doesn't scream.
No.
I love the reaction that she has. Like, she just sort of is just like... Oh, and then we see the shape behind her.
Yeah, Ray immediately comes
really good
out.
Bit of business.
Amy escapes via a car with Ray clinging to it, but she is able to safely make it to the morgue where she goes to Marvin for help and calls the police. See, this is like the exact moment where I'd be like, and this is where you reveal that Marvin also is killing people. And like she runs into a corner of the morgue, and like all of Phil and all of his bachelor party friends are like hanging in the freezer in the the morgue or something. There's just
Marvin has an inn at the city morgue. And Marvin gives off serial killer.
That's what I mean.
I mean,
he's almost too much of a red herring for it to actually work. But like, I see a world where it's like, oh man, what a fucking twist! Like she runs into the arms of this guy. Maybe Marvin's dad is actually Ray, and that's how he knew about Amy's. But like, there's so many little details where you could like stitch it together. But anyway, Detective Gamble, who's practically like just shows up in like small 2-minute scenes to remind us that he exists. Shows up, he shoots Ray, but is unfortunately stabbed to death before he can take Ray down. Amy traps Ray in a storage closet. We get this iconic shot that was in so many books about horror movies of the hand through the glass door choking Amy, but Amy escapes with Marvin just as the police arrive at the morgue. The film immediately jumps ahead in time, and Amy is now preparing to marry Marvin when off-camera Phil enters the room and Amy screams, implying that the murders have started anew with Phil. And
I like the idea that it's kind of like that the murderous intent of like the jilted fiance is like catching. You know, that is my... I found this movie very boring. I'm not going to say anything to the contrary, but I do think that is kind of a fun concept.
It's one of those things where, and this is like for better or for worse with horror movie night. I didn't even think about that. God damn it. But like we've hit
in sickness and in health.
We've hit this point. We're at 10 years of doing this show.
We should probably get married.
Yes. No. We've been courting for too long. No, but like I do think that we're
a polycule now.
We've hit this point where we've definitely covered so many of the movies that we've watched obsessively and loved that like I do think that good or bad, we're going to start diving into movies like He Knows You're Alone, or like later on a movie like Final Exam, where it's like these are like these obscure tent poles in a genre that we love that aren't nearly as good as the movies that we love, but
also, Final
that
Exam
doesn't
sucks.
mean that they're not worth. Yeah, like,
but it's more entertaining than He Knows You're Alone.
He Knows You're Alone.
But just,
I guess my point being like, I do think that we've done this for 10 years. There's no reason for us not to examine. I feel like we're experienced enough now that we can examine movies that are bad and not in like a Troll 2, like it's fun that it's bad kind of way, but like analyzing it and being like, why doesn't this work? What is the reason why this one kind of stumbles? Where obviously like Prom Night, Terror Train, and Friday the 13th that all came out this same year like have something. They're all remembered way more than this.
Well, I would say that Prom Night, which is incredibly boring, and we will eventually discuss it, is Jamie Lee Curtis. It's a Jamie Lee Curtis vehicle. And then Terror Train is a Jamie Lee Curtis vehicle. I mean,
but this is not for nothing. This is a Tom Hanks movie. It's a small part, but it's like this movie. But my point being, like, this movie should be as noteworthy, if not more noteworthy, than the after Halloween Jamie Lee Curtis movies in the grand scheme of how massive of a celebrity Tom Hanks is. Like, people know about that D&D movie that he did in the 80s. Why don't people talk about He Knows You're Alone? Like, it's just... I think it is because it's a bad movie. It's a bad, forgettable, slow movie.
But also, we're talking about Jamie Lee Curtis was known as a scream queen, and she was the vehicle in 2 really bad post-Halloween slashers.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks, this is his first movie, and he is cannon fodder, like you said. Like, and the fact that he doesn't get murdered is hilarious, but also kind of blue-balled the audience probably in 1980, so that has a lot to do with it, I'm sure.
I'm just trying to think of like another, the slasher genre is a really large subgenre. So what you're sort of proposing here, Matt, makes me wonder like what other
we haven't done the Burning.
Has enough.
Like we haven't done the Burning yet.
I guess that Kyle's asking though, like what other subgenres of horror are like unplumbed.
Would you approach in that same mentality as the slasher? Right, exactly.
I think that it's a big one. I think it's the biggest one because it was.
But why? Why do you think that?
I can tell you
your opinion.
I can tell you why I think it's the biggest one. It's the one that appealed the most to teens. You know what I mean? Like when I go and I see a movie like, all right, I'm going to jump ahead for a split second. One of the two things I'm going to mention when we do the What Did I Watch This Week is that I watched Smile 2, right? A film like Smile succeeds on the conceit that, like, it has that thing to it, and I don't know how to describe the thing, but it has that thing where it's like high schoolers who don't even like horror will go see it, right?
I think it's a glossiness, and I think that that's what Dimension Films was doing in the 90s, and that's why they succeeded so well.
Yeah, but I think that in the 80s specifically, it was the, like, seeing characters our age in a realistic situation of survival, and, like, you would watch it and maybe you identified or liked or recognized the characters in that movie in a way that you maybe didn't if it was a Ghoulies movie or if it was like a possession movie or something. There was, like, I think that the same way that Scream works as a horror movie as well as it works as a teen flick.
Movie. Yeah, sure, yeah.
I think that the slasher genre has always stayed in that realm. There's not a lot of slasher movies about adults. You know what I mean?
That
like,
sounds boring as hell. Now,
what do we talk? Oh,
we're talking about a slasher in which people are getting married and they're all still college age. You know what I mean? Like,
it's a weird audience. Now, here's a question, Matt, for you. And maybe I'm just lumping two things together because you're making an analogy, but would you say that Smile 2... So I know that you believe that Smile 2 worked better, right, than Smile for you?
I do, and we'll get into that later on, but yes.
Are you saying that you think that Smile worked for teenagers because it had that thing? Is that what you were saying?
And I think what you're talking about is that thing, is that glossiness.
Yeah.
But there is that, like, Smile's almost a bad example, but I'm thinking of, like, when I saw,
Smile is
like,
an adult woman. That's why I'm thinking, like, why did teens, if you said Tarot or literally any James Wan movie, like.
I was even, I guess in my head I was thinking of, like, Truth or Dare or Ma or, like, any of those, like.
Oh, so it's not about the content necessarily.
Yeah.
It's actually about how it looks and, like, how it's, like, put together.
I think currently it's about how it looks, but a lot of those looks, as Scott said, stemmed from the Dimension Films era of slasher films, where there's a look to that film that says this is for you teenagers. And then there's a look, you know what I mean? Like, there is a look. We know the difference between a horror movie that's designed for the horror fans and the horror film that's designed for the teenager crowd just by how the film looks.
That's very true. Yeah.
You watch the trailer for Long Legs and you watch the trailer for Smile, and you know which one is going for the high school and college age demographic and which is going for the 40-year-old horror fan demographic immediately.
Yeah.
And I think in the 80s, there was such a focus on that high school, college, early 20s demographic. And it seemed like they really like these slasher. They like these Friday the 13th movies. They like these Halloween movies. Let's just keep doing that. Sure. And then when they would do something that was like a Ghoulies or a Critters or whatever, it was almost too niche. It still would do well, but it wasn't doing well enough to justify like 40 imitations.
Yeah.
In the same way.
I was complaining about the third Venom movie because I'm like, who is this for? And I mean, I guess it's for kids, people, but like,
it's for Barb's kids. You know what I mean? Like a 10-year-old is like all in on something like that.
But it's just funny because there's also that family drama aspect of it that I was like, I was scratching my head, completely confused about.
I mean, it's the question that comes up when you talk about the prequels. You know what I mean? Like, the prequels are so designed for kids, and it has like almost an hour of talking about tax cuts and Federation law. Like, it's like a political drama for an hour in the middle of Phantom Menace. But
and
that was
I
like
hated
the
that when that came out when I was in college or whatever, and one of my best friends.
I saw it 4 times because I was in middle school.
Yes, exactly. I was going to say all of my younger friends.
Yeah, the pod racing sold me on it. The pod racing and watching Darth Maul fight with his double-sided lightsaber.
That was just the most badass thing that a child in 1999 or whatever could see.
Now,
so
Now, admittedly,
I could nap between those two things, and it would be fine. Well, and like I could wake up from a 20-minute nap and be okay to see the rest of the movie.
Admittedly, like I also remember Phantom Menace. Part of me seeing Phantom Menace as many times as I did, and I know that like Jonathan has talked about something like this similarly, was there was such this buildup of like, holy shit, we have a new Star Wars movie.
Right, yeah.
That like I think part of me was like, no, it has to be good. Like there was like a part of me that was like refused, especially in like a
why wouldn't it be?
7th grade brain of a kid who watched those first 3 Star Wars movies repeatedly. It was like part of my brain took 4 or 5 viewings for me to be willing to accept that it wasn't good. Like whereas I remember maybe 10 years later in the future seeing Kingdom of the Crystal Skull with my friends, and I think it was like for a day we tried to convince ourselves that it was good because it had been so long since we saw an Indiana Jones movie, and then was just like, yeah, that kind of sucked. Like that was a bad movie, right?
Yeah.
Like, but there was that. I remember the drive home in the car being like, that was good, right? Like it's a little weird that there's aliens, but we had fun and everyone had a good time. And then, like, the next day, we were like, okay, it sucked. It was a bad movie, guys. We sat through 2.5 hours of a bad movie. And we saw it at midnight, like psychopaths. What were we thinking?
They're really trying to make indie happen
that was
again.
me. I fell asleep in episode 3. I was like, why am I here? This is fucking terrible. Yes, but as slow and boring as He Knows You're Alone may have been for us in 2025, it was nowhere near sleep-inducing like any of the prequel movies. So come at me, adult men who will fight anyone who says something they don't like about Star Wars on the internet, because you are the most toxic fandom.
Oh, for sure.
Continued. Year after year after year.
That moment when you realize your skincare is actually working. That's Rodan & Fields, the #1 female dermatologist-founded skincare brand in the U.S. Designed by 2 dermatologists who don't just know women's skin, they know how to formulate for it. Rodan & Fields, love what you see. Tap the banner or visit rodanandfields.com/Spotify to get your exclusive welcome offer.
Impact confirmed. The Slayer has been activated.
Demonic threat level increasing.
Hold the line!
All the power of hell cowering before one man.
id Software presents Doom: The Dark Ages. Available now on Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and PC.
Rated M for mature.
This episode is brought to you by Pluto TV. Pluto TV has all the shows and movies you love streaming for free. That means laughter is free with gut-busting comedies like The Neighborhood, Key and Peele, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Mystery is free with countless cases to crack from Criminal Minds, Tracker, and Matlock. And thrills are free with heart-pumping hits like The Walking Dead and Defiance. Feel the free. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
Hello everyone, we're Superhero Stuff You Should Know, and if you think you know about superheroes and comic books, think again.
We got romance, we got action,
Romance.
we got comedy, we got everything you need, man. Come on down to Superhero Stuff You Should Know for all your superhero needs.
I don't know about this romance. What part are you talking about?
We've got all kinds of sketches, and then deep dives on top of that. Come on down to Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
All right, so come on down to... Wait, why did I say come on down? To Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
Let's say, hypothetically, I invited some friends over and we put on He Knows You're Alone. I'm going to need to apologize. But I'm not going to apologize that much. I'm going to take us in definitely a better realm.
Sure.
But I'm going to make us watch another slasher movie that can dip into a little bit of a detective procedural story and that really focuses on expressive eyes of the killer. We're going to watch the 1970s The Town That Dreaded Sundown immediately after this.
Oh.
I mean, that's still brutal. I don't know how people are going to feel about that, man. That's a tough one. Kyle, what about you?
I'm gonna kick it up a notch, just get a little more energy in the room. The Mutilator.
Ooh, are you sure not Mutilator 2?
No, not Mutilator 2. Those people are too old. But I did have one other.
You gotta wait until I'm done.
Scott, what do you got? We might have picked the same one.
This
actually for
feels
the second
so
one,
much with the eyes. I just felt like I wished that I was watching Slumber Party Massacre.
Yep,
yes,
that was my other option. Yeah. Absolutely. I think Slumber Party Massacre, like us knowing the killer, the eyes, just
it works so much better.
Is that another one from?
Really.
Is that 1980 as well?
I think it's 81.
I think that's 84.
Oh, really? Slumber Party Massacre.
84 might be 2.
82.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, Slumber Party Massacre is 82.
Oh, okay.
And then Slumber Party Massacre 2 was, let's see where the sequel is, 87, 1990, and then we had Sorority House Massacre in 86, Sorority House Massacre 2 in 1990, so we had 2 of them in 1990, and then Sorority House Massacre 3, Hard to Kill, 1990. What? There were 2 of them in 1990, and then there was also a third series called Cheerleader Massacre in 2003, 2011, and then the former filmed as Slumber Party Massacre, or maybe Cheerleader Massacre 2 was also renamed as from Slumber Party Massacre 4 during post-production. Who fucking knows, man? And then there's also Slumber Party Massacre 2021, which was awfully fun. So, wow, I mean, yes, there are a lot.
I didn't know there was that much going on.
Well, let's talk promo for a second. Hey, you guys love horror movie night? Boy, do we got news for you. Go to hmnpodcast.com, buy some merch. Check out the back catalog that's available over on hmnpodcast.com. Go and search HMN Podcast on all of your social medias, be it Instagram, Facebook, etc., Letterboxd. Find us. Talk to us over there. Go to hmnpodcast.dasherly.com. Buy some even more exclusive shirts that you can't get over on our online merch store, and go to our patreon.com/HMN podcast. Throw us some cash and get to see our beautiful faces every week, or listen to bonus conversations and all of that good jazz. And lastly, shoot us an email at hmnpodcast@gmail.com. It is crazy that I'm about to say this sentence, but we are getting dangerously close to Listener Submit It Month, and we are giving you an extra hurdle this year to face with Listener Submit It Month. Normally, you can send us any movie that you feel like we need to talk about that we have not yet talked about. But this year, sticking with our theme, it's got to be an anniversary. That movie's got to come out in a year that ends in a 5 or a 0.
Yeah,
so
baby.
You send us your picks, and I'm telling you right now, I swear to fucking God, if I see a 1 or a 2 or a 3 or a 4,
publicly shame you.
Matt's gonna lose it.
Gonna lose it, and it's gonna go straight in the trash bin. So don't fuck with us, and you stick it to the zeros and the 5s.
Just you.
Anyway,
yeah.
Sorry.
He has the account information.
Sorry.
I swear.
I got ahead of myself. Let me calm down. Hey, what did I watch recently? I talked about it already. I watched Smile 2. It was a little bit better than Smile 1. It's way more brutal than Smile 1, which I will say. The kills, the death and the brutality in that movie is pretty wild. Definitely had to look away quite a few times. It's a weird choice that our main character is very unlikable, but it also makes it where you're like, all right, I mean, maybe she deserves to be haunted by this evil demon because she kind of sucks. But yeah, I'm going to just mention that. It's fine. It's on Paramount Plus now, so that was cool. I'm more excited to talk about a book that I read that I actually told. I know. I told someone this, and I stand by this. This might be my favorite book that I have read in like 10 years.
Whoa.
Yeah, I really liked it. It was a book called Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. The author's name I'm going to have a little bit of a second with. Gabrielle Zevin. So it jumps around in time, but it is a book about 3 college friends who in the 90s start a PC gaming company that is like wildly successful. And it just kind of follows the like ups and downs in their life and like the different things that happen. And it's such like it has moments where you'll be crying your eyes out, but it also has these moments of just like absolute pure, unadulterated friendship wholesomeness tied into it. It got heavy at points, but I rocked through. This was like I want to say it's like a 450-page book. I knocked this thing out in 3 days because I could not put it down. I was like, I just want to know every little thing that happens with these characters. And that to me is like all I can ask for in a book, is if I am just so drawn into the characters' lives that I need to know more. So I know this is a pretty well-received, award-winning book. My friend Alyssa bought it for me for my birthday last year. I finally got around to reading it, and I immediately texted her and was like, that might be my favorite book in years. So had to give it a shout-out on the podcast. But how about you guys? What do you have to promote?
Kyle?
So I haven't talked about an album that or an artist that I've liked in a while, but I do have to talk about Lambrini Girls. So Lambrini Girls released an album, Who Let the Dogs Out, back in January. And I had it on my to listen for a while. And I don't know, sometimes like that transition from the end of one year where you're sort of like reflecting to starting up another year is a little weird. And I think this happens with movies too. Like there's that whole January curse and just like people are not, into it. Right?
Sure.
Like, so that exists. And, but I listened to Lambrini Girls and I listened again and again and again. And it is one of the best punk albums I've heard in a really long time. It's refreshing, it's bombastic, it has so much fucking attitude. It is sort of exactly what I want from my punk music now. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. Like I'm not gonna draw comparison. I'm not going to elaborate anymore. I just think if you like, I will compare for suggestions' sake. Yeah. So I think if you have love for Riot Girl and things like Cocksparrow and things like Idol, I've talked about Idols before. I think that they are in the same conversation as far as like in the time period that we're talking about. But sound wise, they're both from Britain, but that's it. It's like if you just like punk, if you like Amyl and the Sniffers, they're great too. Like it just has so much to say. It says it so directly, and it does not give a fuck about what you have to say back because you're probably wrong. Like if you are talking back to the message of them, you're fucking wrong. And it's just they have that attitude, and I really appreciate that. So that's Lambrini Girls. It truly gets me fired the fuck up.
It's so fun. It's interesting. I listened to a song off of that. Maybe last month or 2 months ago. I mean, not when it first came out, but relatively, recently. And I couldn't get into it, but maybe having a better understanding of like, the mindset that I should be in when I give it a chance. I actually have it up in my tabs to give a listen to tomorrow, I'd say. So.
Yeah, I really like the track You're Not From Around Here is great. Big Dick Energy is great. Yeah, it's pretty solid all the way through. But those are some of my favorite. I like Company
Love is
Culture,
the song I listened to, and I was like, it's just okay. It just didn't really do it for me.
Love gives me is not my favorite, though. At the same time, it grows on me the more I listen to it. I think it's more in the whole album. It's like it's such a quick album. It's punk through and through, so it's just like I can throw it on and listen to the whole album in like a half hour or whatever it is. And so, but yeah, I would see why that might be the one.
I feel like
Try
that song is very radio friendly for that style, and that probably was what kind of turned me off because I was just like, I wanted more anger. I wanted a little bit more fire. So I'll give the rest of it a listen.
There's a few more tracks in there. Yeah.
All right, and for me, I'm not going to trash this movie. I have questions for you guys. Do you know anything about Little Bites? It was on Shudder. It was a Shudder original.
Yes, no. I'm trying to remember. I did watch this, but like on like the background kind of watch.
Like this kind of like a vampire-y, like an old world vampire type character.
Yeah, it was it was fun enough. I didn't hate my time.
Really, really disliked it. I thought that the pacing was bad. I thought that the writing was atrocious, like for the dialogue, personally, because I was like actively watching it, and it was wild because it's got Barbara Crampton and Heather Langenkamp in it, and I'm just like.
Directed by Spider-1, Power Man 5000.
Yes. But Spider-1 has done multiple movies at this point, right?
Yeah. Spider-1 did a few other films. Apparently 6, but Allegoria
is the other one. That's what I'd seen already.
Oh, and Bury the Bride, which I don't remember, but Allegoria is the one I remember.
Now, the question I have is, one, how did they wrangle Heather Langenkamp to come back for that? Because her little soliloquy is very bad. And then how did they get Barbara Crampton to come back? Or how to do, I mean, I know she wants to work, but how did they get her on that? And sub-question, how the fuck is Cher an executive producer of this? It is the weirdest.
What?
The credits are crazy.
Oh, because Chaz Bono is in it.
So? They're also like, isn't Chaz they're an executive producer too.
Oh,
so I mean, it's like
interesting.
I just don't understand how the thing came to be, and I'm watching it, and I'm like waiting for it.
I think the answer is Hollywood is a weird place.
It is a weird fucking place. Also, who is the audience for this? It's not Power Man 5000 fans.
Right.
It's not Cher fans. It's like, it's not teens. It's basically like mom horror. And but the ending is so goddamn dumb. I'm like, this had no thought put into it with the way, I mean, it's shot well. I will say that. But there's no lore explanation. There's no, like, truly likable characters. A lot of people have been like, oh, it's an allegory for addiction. No, it's not, because it's literally supposed to be a play on the allegory of addiction. I just don't understand it. And I'm not a stupid person, right? Like I get nuance, I get subtext. It's like they forgot to add some, but I was just more shocked by like Cher being attached, because executive producers basically just drop money on it, right?
I don't even think it's that. I mean, I think executive producers are like, "Hey, you should talk to my friend." Like, like a lot of it is like, I think a producer. Yeah, like a producer is usually the one who gathers the money and the resources and the funding. Kyle, you know this better than I do, but I feel like executive producer is often a credit that's just thrown to like case in point. I'm pretty sure that Kevin Smith is listed as an executive producer for the movie Good Will Hunting. But as far as I know, why that is because Ben Affleck was friends with Kevin Smith, came to him with the script and asked him to make the movie, and Kevin Smith was the one that was essentially like, I'm not the right guy to make this movie, but let me connect you with Harvey and Gus Van Sant, and they'll probably be able to produce this for you. And he got like an executive producer credit for basically just like gathering the people together that would actually make the thing. Like,
listen, a producer, an executive producer is can be both of the things that you just suggested. It could just be like all money flow. It could be making a connection. It is
what
so
connections does Cher have in the
ambiguous.
horror industry? That's the thing that I.
But
just
it could literally.
Chaz asked for $500 and Cher gave Chaz $500 for a credit, or it's just like, because Chaz is alive, we have to give Cher an executive producer credit.
It's
like
a vanity credit almost.
Yeah, it's a vanity credit, and it also, like, if somebody says yes to that sometimes that means that it's going to help you out in the world because Cher's name's attached to it. But again, it's like, who is this for? It's like, I mean, you're gonna get 5 Cher fans to like go watch a horror movie,
a Shudder only.
You know, I don't.
You know, like, you gotta go
Shudder original.
pay the $7 a month or the $70 a year to watch this share-backed mom horror. I don't know, dude. Anyway, it was not a good movie, but I had to I had a good head scratch afterwards. So that was a thought process.
Absolutely.
I will say that I'm looking at the wiki right now. It's averaging about 75% on Rotten Tomatoes. But it sounds like you agree with the critic from RogerEbert.com who gave it 1.5 out of 4 stars, and in his review said, horror needs to have a little bit of gray, something that's a little hard to decipher, maybe a little debatable on its meaning and purpose, but when it's not, and it just shifts from mood to message over and over again, it starts to lose its power. That's one of the several things that happens in this frustrating movie, Little Bites. So it sounds like you're a little bit more in that side of things.
Okay, I feel a lot better.
I also was hoping it was going to be an anthology. Yeah. I thought it was going to be an anthology.
Oh, you wanted them to be little bites of entertainment.
I wanted to be little bites, little vampire bites.
All right. Well, unfortunately, there was no little bites to be had tonight, but maybe there'll be little bites next week. Little demon-y bites, little cigarette burns. Who knows? Stay tuned next week to find out what we're discussing on Horror Movie Night.
The #1 selling product of its kind with over 20 years of research and innovation. Botox Cosmetic, onabotulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.